It's National Moving Month, and we are in the peak time for moving scams. Between now and August, Better Business Bureau says 42% of inquiries on its website are from moving companies. In fact, someone reported one to the organization on Monday. Our Kevin Nathan spoke to the BBB about the warning signs to watch for and what can you do to protect yourself.
Joining us now is Kristen Johnson from Better Business Bureau serving Connecticut. Kristen, great to see you. Welcome. BBB released some pretty staggering statistics and numbers about moving scams from last year, like the fact that there was a 216% increase in the amount of money people lost in 2021 than the previous year. What do you think is driving this and adding to the increase?
Yeah, that was $730,000 reported to BBB Scam Tracker last year alone. Obviously, we know the housing market has been hot. People are taking advantage of that. But unfortunately, they're not taking the time to do their research. And so, unfortunately, they are getting scammed.
Krista, give us an anecdote, if you could, please, a story about someone who was scammed by movers.
There's a couple of popular moving scams out there. One is that you pay a big deposit or, God forbid, you pay everything up front and then the movers just don't show up. And then you're left high and dry, ready to move with no one to move your belongings. Another thing that we see commonly, and unfortunately, is that you will sign a contract with the moving company. They'll come. You have it in writing, an expected weight. They'll say, oh, it's way over the estimate. You're now going to have to pay double if you want your items moved. And the worst scam that we see out there all too often is that they pick up your items and they don't deliver them. Your items are simply stolen.
Wow, that would be a nightmare. What are some of the red flags, Tristan, we need to watch out for, and how can people find a trusted company?
When you're on those websites, you want to make sure they have the proper registration. You want to see that they have an actual address, and you can look up that address and make sure there's something brick and mortar there, that it's not just a parking lot somewhere. Those are red flags if you don't see that. And then, of course, go to bbb.org, look up the company. You can look up complaints, patterns of complaints. You can look up reviews. You can compare and contrast different companies and see which ones have the best rating. And that's a really good guide to you. Also, always, if you're not sure, you do an internet search of the name of the company and the word scam, and that'll tell you pretty quickly whether or not this is a legitimate company.
Talking about best practices for people when making a move, what are some other things they can do so that they can guarantee that they're finding a legitimate moving company that's right for them and their family?
Well, you want to be wary of any unusual requests. For instance, if they say they want you to pay everything up front or a large deposit up front, that's a red flag. That's what often happens when people end up paying and then the movers don't show up. So you want to make sure you have everything in writing and that you don't pay them in full until you have those items in your possession. We often hear of items being held for ransom. Basically, they're saying you have to pay us more before we deliver them to you. If that happens, contact BBB and contact your local law enforcement. If you get very vague answers, that's another red flag. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you don't like the answers, hop onto bbb.org and find a different moving company. And the one other tip I'll give is that movers are not liable for damage to boxes that you packed unless you can prove that they caused the damage. So when you're packing your boxes, make sure you take pictures of everything. That way you can prove that they were not damaged before those boxes were packed up.
Kristen Johnson from Better Business Bureau serving Connecticut. We appreciate your time and all of your expertise tonight. Great job.
Thank you.